Hello everyone and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Rise from the Ashes. Well, things took a turn for the worst. Well, sort of. At least the forensic science finally made its debut in our second investigation. The luminol testing fluid, and of course the white powder to check for fingerprints, which is pretty cool. Like I said, for this episode and this episode only, for the first game, it makes use of the DS features, the touchscreen, the microphone, all the 3D evidence to look, excuse me, to look around and look at all the evidence in three. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Oh, so that we can take a look at all the evidence in 3D, find hidden things that's not within the evidence, all that kind of thing, which basically it's a precursor to of things to come for Apollo Justice in July. Alright, so without further ado, let's continue on with the trial of Lana Skye. And one thing in advance is that I'm trying to keep my voice down, because everyone is sleeping right now and I'm doing this kind of early. So let's get started. So here we go. Load the file. And a bottle of water at the ready. Alright, so we're back in the good old lobby. Here we go. So, what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So, how'd it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth about this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Skye? We found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Skye? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Oh, wow. Alright. Let the trial begin. Court's now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department, or from the prosecutor's office. Yet, the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. Oh, and it's about to get even messier. Not blood-wise, just more as we progress through the story. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In doing so, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait. Very well. Let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. And it's none other than Rock Lee. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir. I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir. So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone again, sir. You gotta believe me, sir. Leave Hurricane. Actually, we'd like to hear from this... Sir, I'm what you call a part of the younger generation, sir. A person whose adults can't possibly comprehend. I forgot the other moves. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Help me, sir. Officer Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that in order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I am a part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. You can't sorry. You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. Alright, here we go. Testimony number 1. Crime report, sir. Here we go. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on this security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life, and then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. He always starts that way after almost every testimony with So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you? Do unto others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. Oh boy. Well, from the looks of the testimony, I'm gonna have to press on every single statement. Oh boy. Here we go. Alright, statement number 1. More info. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I am in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Okay, I gotta... how old is he anyways? Meekins, I mean. 22. Young. Alright, so I gotta sound a bit more younger. Yikes. Now, there's a scary thought. Evidence transferal was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir. Of a lovely police mascot created by the chief of a detective, sir. I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very, important mission. After the awards ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? Alright, statement number 2, press. Yeah, keep in mind, I only read these statements to every testimony just one time. Unless there's new testimony added in, that's when I'll read it. Alright, so in order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. Yeah, okay, there it is, I see it. So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is! I found it! There is one right here. Could you please read us of a number? Yes, sir. It's 498. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, I messed up. No, I didn't. 4989596. That's my number, sir. I see. Huh. But the number 4989596 is shown as being used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time is when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room, and the second time is when I went to go get him after everything settled down. I see. So it was during that second time when... Yes, sir. That was when I spotted the man on the security screen. Alright, so the ID card record has been updated to have Minkin's number, which was used, in which his ID card was used twice. Alright, statement number 3. I'm losing count on this, so I'm just gonna press. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir! A knife! A Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly that kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. And that's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, wait. Maybe if you just kept your cool, I think that there was supposed to be a comma there. Oh well, things happen. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be. When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. I fought for my... Oh, sorry. I gotta stop doing that. What exactly do you mean when you say did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into kung fu movies, films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife? I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. Let's see. He must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood. And then the next thing I knew, yes, he punched me right in the face, sir. All right. Next statement. Oh, thank you. It's the last one. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. Excuse me. He hit me right in the head too. I woke up crying tears of pain. Well, that's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir. The Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gant delivered it to me just this morning, sir. The chief delivered it? What is that? Videotape? Yes, sir. That's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. Primary Lotus. What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word. Murder, sir. It scares me. Oh yeah, and thus we're going to be introduced to another new feature. That's going to be within later games. A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? Surveillance video. Yes, you're able to fast forward, rewind, and you know, that kind of thing. Alright, there's the detective, though it's not shown who it is. Okay, so he's getting something here, and oh, something dropped. Yeah, I know. I'm seeing this. Like if I'm like if the video and audio are cut, but in reality, they're not. It's not in sync. There. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Oh, yeah, get him, get him. Uh-oh. And there's Meekins, lying unconscious. But y'all did notice that something fell. And, Well, I believe we're all thinking of the same thing. How can we deal with this unsettling feelings stirred within us? What the heck was that wriggling piece of plywood? Sir, that is the pride and joy of the entire criminal affair, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Alright, so we get another piece of evidence. The video. Sorry, the security video. Alright. Yes, well, anyway. This tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone in the evidence room and some sort of activity. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that all right with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir. As you wish, sir. All right. Next testimony. Mystery Man. Because as you can see, when we saw the video earlier, the mysterious detective in the white trench coat, his face was never shown. Sort of. Let's continue on. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there is no question the other person was a Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint too, to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably a Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. The first gate open. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been a Detective Goodman. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this excuse me. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead, but everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. All right, here we go. Something caught my attention in the last statement. So let's see. I gotta be careful. Alright, here we go. Let's press them. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video. The man's face. Sir, if I may say something, please do. After all, you are the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock, and it was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Mr. Wright, let's check the court record again. Is there a problem with this as a security video? Well, duh. There is. There's always going to be contradictions, no matter what. Well, there will be times when you don't have a choice but to say there's no problem or we can't find no evidence, but most of the time there's always going to be a contradiction. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction? Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out. Very well, sorry. Very well. A proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the other security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video. This is the first time I've ever had to do that. He's not kidding, you know. This is actually the first time. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's a setup so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Ugh, believe me, this isn't the last time we're going to be hearing from Officer Meekins. Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is this contradiction that indicates what the... Yeah, never mind. Alright, so we're gonna stop, we're gonna stop real soon. I mean, we'll pause the video. Yeah, I'm gonna fast forward here. Thankfully I can fast forward. Stop. Okay, what I'm gonna do is rewind. No! Ugh, I messed up. I messed up. Play the video again. I messed up. Okay, let's do this again. Thankfully I wasn't penalized, so... Alright. Yes, I know. Alright, let's do this again. Alright. What I'm gonna do is fast forward the video. Oh. Let's fast forward the video. Alright. And stop. Alright. Here's where I'm gonna point right here. And let's hope this is it. So the thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Yes, that is strange. Something certainly seems unnatural about that. What could it mean? Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wright, but you seem to have forgotten the point of this exercise. The point? What are you looking for is one thing and one thing only. Something that indicates that man may not be a Detective Goodman. Oh, yeah. Phew. I almost walked right into the defense trap. I'm placing them under arrest, sir. Rats, I need to slow down and to tackle things one piece at a time. Now, what do I... yeah, just play the video. Let's skip all this. Alright, let's do this again. Alright. Because I know it has to be that glove. But I think it's something else first. I mean, it will be part of the evidence. But it has to be something else here that I have to point at. Because trust me, I did give out a hint. Stop. Alright, now I'm going to point to the light here. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Officer Meekins? Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand, a blocker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match. Aha! I knew it. The picture Gumshoe has in his locker is indeed Maggie Bird. So it's a foreshadowing of things to come. Probably on the DS, you'll barely see it. But as of the HD re-release, it shows as clear as day that the picture there is Maggie Berg. But why does Gumshoe have a picture of her? I rather not know about it, but oh well. The light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. And stop. Yeah, I'm not the one that's stopping the video here. If you don't see the buttons, then you're not controlling the video. When the victim reaches the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. So we're gonna rewind. Slowly, actually. And stop here. Notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Order! Order! What's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker was unlocked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know. It must have been broken. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Oh well, it just goes to show novice should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes. Why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss... a scientific investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jammed the system the sensor. Something jammed the sensor? Say, there's something else that seems out of place, and it's what I showed y'all earlier. That falling glove. Yeah, I thought so too. There's gotta be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well, let's inspect the video one more time. Oh, once more. The locker wasn't locked, Mr. Wright. Point out the cause for this. So I'm gonna fast forward. Oops. I can go frame by frame if I have to. Alright, but let's fast forward. And I'm gonna pause right here. And I'm just gonna... And booyah. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. And thankfully, the sound is off. Poof. Trust me, you're going to be hearing the Blue Badger theme throughout this entire case. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience with things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distance. We can't be sure that item was completely inside of the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? And yes, no more Blue Badger theme. And thankfully, you can't get copyright for silence. This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me. But the object would have been extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator or a rubber glove, because rubber and electricity don't go together. I forgot how does it go. Rubber doesn't conduct electricity, or rubber blocks electricity, or it blocks the flow of electricity. I think that's how it goes. Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. But sir, by insulator you mean... I think I finally got this figured out. Very well. Will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door? Well, that's easy. Booyah! The rubber glove. Tag evidence from the SL9 incident. Extremely thin rubber glove, which stops the flow of electricity. I found this near the locker. A thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that that was the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is that not so, Officer Meekins? Sir! It would appear so, sir. Order! 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 So are we to believe then that the victim whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room was not a Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir, me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well. Begin your testimony. Alright, here we go. Oops, excuse me. Alright. Mystery Man, Part 2. There's one other thing that proves the man was a Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used this card. You don't say. An ID card record. I see. Alright. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 514 is that of the victim. Just before the crime. Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as usual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes me that makes my hair stand on end. Oh, how do you explain that that little bun on your head, Emma? Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now, let us move on to the cross-examination. Alright, here we go. Alright, so on the last statement, something caught my attention. So I'm gonna head there right now. Let's see. Random jump cut. Sorry about that. It's because I had a runny nose and I really needed a tissue, but unfortunately, I forgot that I ran out of tissue. So I would have to go to the dollar store later on to get more boxes of tissues. Man, it can be a pain when it comes to summer, because you know, with summer comes heat, and with heat comes pollen. Maybe I'm not sure, but with that also comes allergies. Oof. But anyways, so we are here at the last statement. Excuse me. So what I'm going to present is this. Let me see, where is it? What is it I'm looking for? Aha! Here we go. Goodman's lost item report. A half-written document dated February 21st. Can only be submitted to the Chief of Police. One moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report? It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order! Order! So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not a Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order! 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 Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo? Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not a Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, a locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murderer in the evidence room is also a fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of a murder. Unfortunately, he is right, though. Yeah, it is true. More on that later. That is, well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't going to end well. Well, it seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Like I said, I'm trying to keep things down. And I apologize for any noise that's outside. I knew this testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else Lana... What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? I guess I can object. Oop. One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Silence. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor? If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor? The defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have to testify, what is his or her name? It's none other than Jake Marshall. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. Oof. Alright, so we're back at the lobby. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana? Lana, are you the one who knows everything? Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. Well, you're getting it, lady. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, a Detective Gumshoe. What is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you called me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, detective. You better be, pal. Hey. What's wrong? Hey, I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh. You mean this, right? My apologies, detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? I think this is the second time something like this has happened. Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. Yeah, don't think that this whole pile of files is a lot to read. You'll see. I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. This guy was a witness? Alright, so we get the SL9 incident files from Lana. Files for the Joe Dark killings, solved 2 years ago. I take it from me, you don't want anything to do with the serial murders. Anyways, let's have a look at these files anyway. See? They're only 4 pages. Alright, incident number SL9, closed. Perpetrator, Joe Dark. Crime, serial murder. Sentence, death. Victims, Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall. Oh, I was about to say Neil Armstrong. Neil Marshall. Trial data. Head prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses, Lana and Emma Sky. Investigation task force. Executive investigators, Damon Gant and Lana Sky. Head investigator, Bruce Goodman. Investigators, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. Something went down in this little incident, and we're gonna know why. Oh, what? Now that I brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there. I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident. Is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark? No, Lana. That's over with. No. And Emma, wait. She ran away. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I better take a good look at this case file. Already did. Oof, we're not done yet. Oh no, we are going through this whole trial part, so... I'm gonna save here. Let's see, I'm gonna save right here. Yeah, let's save it here. You never know. And I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a little break, so cut. Okay, I'm back. Alright, here we go. Let's continue on with this trial here. So we're back at the good old courtroom. Here we go. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly across the intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime, on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. No kidding. Please share it with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. It'd be weird if he said in ye old English. Alright, day of the crime. My job was to keep a weary eye on the bone orchid. Orchid, probably didn't say it right. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Something caught my attention. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprints activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses. Now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Alright, so something caught my attention. Let's see, where is it? Nope. 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 Here we go. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon at the time it went down. Let me go right here, because it will help me, you know, get to certain pieces of evidence much faster. Alright, so let's present Marshall's fingerprints. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away. However, luminol test clearly reveals this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with the head on his shoulder. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the blood-stained fingerprints. Very well. You may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Okay then. About your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime. Blood-stained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Alright, here we go. So he says it's only natural for his fingerprints to be in that evidence room, huh? Let's ask for more info on that. That's because you, how do you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's a locker I used when I was a detective. Of a locker I still use. All that's in there now is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all of the time without ever knowing it. Alright, so the fingerprint data has been updated for Jake Marshall. And let's see. It's 2, 3, 4, 5. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves, huh? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, though to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on a Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh, sorry. I spoke the wrong way. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood. In the desert, it's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. Of a security tape. Oh, well, of a security tape? So long as my trail isn't there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Alright, new testimony. Too bad it wasn't me in the video, right, partner? Let's press on that. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could have. They could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so. Let's show some evidence. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Marshall. Alright, so this time we have the penalty bar, so we gotta be very, very careful on this. Alright, so we gotta wait at the precise moment, or I can just fast forward the whole thing. Let's see, I'm gonna fast forward here. There's Officer Meekins. Fight! Oof! Smack! If only there were sound effects. Oh well. Alright, here's where I'm gonna pause the video and frame by frame, booyah, right there. Y'all notice that little piece of evidence that was in that locker, Alright, let's present it. Bringing our attention back to the security tape is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. Bam. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. And we're gonna clearly see that because they're rewinding the video, and you'll notice that the locker was not open. See? Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! Order! It would seem that's the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner. But you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. The locker would need its the fingerprints of the corresponding detective to open it. So he ain't gonna lie his way out of this one. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just plain dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I'll call your bluff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. Let's present that evidence locker. A fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. But what kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. They are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olay, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Let's point at that little V right here. And bam. Officer Marshall was standing right here. There? But that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like a Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed a detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that his cover would have been blown, Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't a Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems like you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. It's obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for the proof that Officer Marshall was in a disguise, but rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in a disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. Yeah, and there's a reason for that, and we're about to see actually. According to the defense's argument, Officer Marshall dressed up as a Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to answer, maybe to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video's my only shot. Very well. Let's take yet another look at the videotape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. So we're gonna fast forward. You know, just to speed things up. And it should be right around. Oh, wait. Rewind. Or frame by frame. Booyah. Blood on shoulder. For some reason, you disguised yourself as a Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat? You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. It seems the time has come. All right, here we go. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. All of those statements are gonna have to be pressed. So, the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's of a donor. It was way too much blood for a small donation. Alright, so as I said, we're going to have to press on all of the statements. Alright, so number one, thankfully there aren't a lot of them. When you say it, you mean, do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only the case lead a detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care about it so much? That day was my last chance. That's why Statement number 2, press. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like a Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool up a security camera and the detective's ID card. I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that lock yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have been opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Alright, next statement. I'm gonna press. You pulled the knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off. Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. Sorry, it turned out that way. With me not knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? So you knocked Officer Meekins out and... Next statement. Press. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go are going into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though the security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day... Final statement. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. The Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID? Injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. You can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Why am I talking a lot like a cowboy with ass Edgeworth? Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? Yeah. Yeah, we do know why. So, how am I supposed to do this? Ah, I know. Let's present some evidence. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims, Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed, and the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, then the deputy chief of police. the group of detectives I was a part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least, according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as a Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze me. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on that day, on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems... It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved. No doubt about it. I wouldn't say that. More on that later. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye, and the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Oh, wait a minute. Your Honor? Wait. Emma. Excuse me 1 second, I'll be right back. Cut. Apologies, everyone, apologies. Noise, especially from my dog. Alright, where was I? Alright. The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright? Are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, in a sense, please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left one thing, the other handprint. You mean of the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and I looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But, Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If you can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use, but still, if you can't find anything wrong with the blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, we do. We have all day. If you want a trial to end successfully, it's gonna take all day, whether you like it or not, Judge. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Yeah. There is. This handprint left on the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Mm-hmm. Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Well, that's simple. The blue badger. Keep in mind, during the video, the blue badger was there along with its theme song was playing. What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger. Mascot of the police force. Defender of truth. Guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, I think through this scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow you such far-fetched boulder dash in my courtroom. Far-fetched. Just like the Pokemon. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Ah, I see it now. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves it. Very well, then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Yeah, then when did it took place? Let's let the ID record prove that. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have entered it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card record. So yeah, there's one number missing there. Well, there's one name missing out of this ID record. Notice where you see 7777777. I think I might have overdone it with the sevens, but you get the idea. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40. Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure it out. It couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's take a look at the chart again. There's only one other card remaining. 77777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make that doesn't make sense. How could a Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with all those sevens. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose number is this all those sevens. That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number, all those sevens, belongs to someone with a higher rank of captain or higher. Someone who is so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? If I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted, an official charge. You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask a question. Yes? No, not you. To her, the defendant's sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked her up, her ID number, and it's not all those sevens. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I asked. Wanna ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use a legitimate evidence? Do you need the other witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator, in that crime in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't! I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. Oh, wow, things have turned for the worst. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Oh, wow, the crowd's really going crazy. Order! 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 Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Oh, wow, are these people loud? But anyways, that's it. That's the end of the second trial of Lana Sky. Tune in next time when we go through the final investigation. Oh boy, things are heating up. So, until then everyone, take care and God bless. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and share with all your family and friends. If you're enjoying my content, consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to click that bell to receive notifications for new videos. Take care, and God bless.